A Catholic high school will soon start mandatory drug testing for all students. Baden High School near Cincinnati will screen students once a year. Parents will be notified about positive tests, which will also result in a medical evaluation. Now, the new initiative aims to deter students from using drugs, but should all schools across the nation try to implement a similar program? Here to discuss, a former police officer who also served in the drug czar's office under Presidents Clinton and Bush, Joe Peters, and former prosecutor and criminal defense attorney Vinoo. Good to see you both.
Good to see you, Ed.
Joe, I wanted to start with you. Are you in support of this drug testing?
I am very much so. We're in a world that has challenges beyond those we saw in the past 20 years. We're dealing with children, with teens. They're not adults in a small package. They're actually adolescents and teenagers, and their judgment isn't what it will be someday. We already control their lives for their benefit, whether it's driving or anti-texting or limiting social media. And in a world where you have the heroin fentanyl crisis killing our children, you have high-potency marijuana, and you have vaping, why not take a bold but measured step to test them and hopefully save a life?
Vinoo, that sounds like a reasonable step. What say you?
Well, my concern is, when are they going to start doing this the day after the prom? Are they going to also test the teachers and the administrators and the principal? Because if they don't do that, then the level of hypocrisy will be very high at the school and any school that does this. What you're talking about here is conditioning students to be ready for a police state. That's not what our founders envisioned when they thought about how the Constitution applies to people. I mean, we're talking now, students don't have the same rights. They have lesser rights, and schools can have greater authority to search people, but still has to be reasonable here. And what are you doing here? What kind of message are you saying to students? If you don't take the test, it'll be counted as a positive test, right? That's a problem. You're already teaching these young children that, hey, you're guilty if you don't want to do this. Now, practically, there's other problems here. You're going to create a black market for clean urine. It's probably already there. How is the test going to be administered? What kind of false positives are you going to get? And how do you prevent kids that are now will say, look, well, I need this drug. I need to be on scripts. So therefore, they're going to start taking legal opioids and then start using that to mask illegal opioids.
Let's give Joe a chance here to react to that. He basically says it's going to be like a police state environment for some students.
There's no police state here. It's about good parenting. I'm a former police officer and a police chief and a prosecutor. I look at this not as being punitive, but as being a parent who wants to be preventative, to keep our kids away from bad habits until they can make their own decision. One of the best things about this, Ed, is the fact that it gives students an excuse to fight against peer pressure and to say no to drugs, because now they can say, hey, we're all going to be tested and I can't show up positive, or I can't play football, or I can't be a cheerleader. We need to do this for them.
All right, let's give Vinoo the last word. We had a statement from the principal at the school, and I'll summarize it. They basically say that this is in the best interest of the students ultimately. How do you react to that?
Again, this is a extension of what's in this country has been a failed war on drugs, right? I also am a former prosecutor. I used to prosecute these drug cases, and to me, that was a waste of time and money. If this school is starting to has to test their students for drugs, they have bigger problems than drugs in school. So you have to ask yourself what's going on in the school, what's going on in society, and all you're doing is trying to create a punitive measure, a police state, when address the underlying problems that are causing kids to use drugs.
All right, gentlemen, it's an issue that's not going away. It's important to have this debate this morning. Appreciate you both coming in.
Good to be here.